Welcome to the Black Sable podcast. I'm your host, Equibus Ace, a qualified architect and head of Black Sable. We're a South African firm specializing in premium, sustainable safari lodge architecture. And on this podcast, I chat to some fascinating people about the hidden side of architecture and more.
Joining me is Mikayla, who is a content creator and third-year architect student at Cardiff University in Wales. Cool, welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here. It's a cute setup.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So first of all, I want to know, if people don't know you, why should they stay tuned into this conversation?
Okay.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Mikayla. I'm a third-year architecture student in the UK, but I'm South African, so I'm an international student in the UK. And then I also do content creation. I first started it in 2020 because I feel like every teenager was posting TikToks. And then I guess I just really enjoyed the creative side of it and sharing my life and creating a community. So I continued doing it until I started narrowing my niche to just architecture because people seem to really like that. And yeah, why you should continue following along or follow along if you don't follow already is because I show both the good and the bad. I feel like social media can be really glamorized, but it's important to show the good and the bad because not everything's going to be roses and daisies.
So if I'm someone who's following you on social, what I'm expecting to see basically is a kind of a true snapshot of what it means to be an architect studying in whatever you do.
Yeah. Every university is different. Everyone has different experiences. So don't take as like, oh, if I study architecture, I'm going to have the exact same life as Mikayla, because obviously that's not the case. But
absolutely.
I try and show both the good, the bad, the ugly.
I think you actually do a really good job of that. I mean,
thank you.
And you also have a very strong component of humor. Which
I try, yeah.
It's really good. I find myself, enjoying that a lot.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes people don't get it. A lot of people are like, oh, she's so negative. I don't know. I'm like, I just want to make a joke out of it sometimes.
In your opinion, what has been like the negative side of studying? What does that actually mean for you? In architecture in particular?
In architecture specifically.
Yeah.
I think it's just the time, how time consuming the whole degree is, because I did not know when I was getting into it that it would be as time consuming as it actually is. So I think that's one of the biggest negatives throughout the whole thing.
Okay.
So I think it's just showing that like if you are going to study architecture or if you're interested in that field, is that you have to be determined to like put in the time that it requires. Because a lot of other degrees, it's just like, sure, you do a bit of work every day, but like with architecture, you kind of have to be very determined and disciplined with it.
I would agree with that. I'm curious, like, what is it about time? Do you find that it's a management of time issue or?
You see, that's another thing. I get a lot of comments, especially my videos being like, oh, they all got like 0 hours of sleep. And it's like, it's not that we have bad time management. I feel like everyone was commenting me, oh, they all have bad time management. I don't want you designing my buildings if you don't know how to.
Did people say
they're
that?
like, I don't want you designing our buildings if you're not sleeping. And it's just like, well, again, I don't know what it's like in real practice, but in architecture school, you are obviously designing something. And I feel like in real life, it takes you months, almost years just to design one thing. Whilst in architecture school, you have like a few months to design a whole school or whatever your brief is. And then it's always changing every single week. So, and I'm not even joking, like tutors will literally change your entire design a week before submission. So then you have to like redo all your work in a week's worth of time. So it's not time management as per se. It's just, we like to call it the design process.
Absolutely. I mean, the design is an iterative process, right? Yeah. You are designing something and then you, after some time, go like, okay, that's not actually working. You change it again. And explain this kind of tutoring process.
Yeah.
What is this? Like if you are new to architecture, what is this tutoring?
Yeah. So for us, again, I don't know what it's like at other universities, but we have 1 day a week in which we see our tutors. Sometimes you have one tutor. This year I have 2 tutors actually, but we're in a group of 20 sharing 2 tutors. And so you see them and they'll kind of guide you through the process. So obviously there's a year brief, but they'll each week tell you, okay, this is what you need to complete for the week. And then you bring it to them, they give you feedback on it, and they kind of guide you through the design process. And they end up being really important in architecture school. So make sure, I don't know, we were allowed to pick our tutors this year, but I'm not sure if that's for everyone. But I think it's really important to get a good tutor because they can really make or break you. So.
And you kind of mentioned that they have this ability to say to you a week before submission, listen, Mikayla, this thing that you're doing, it's pretty shit. I think you need to start again.
And it's like, why didn't you tell me this like a month ago?
And how do you, I mean, for example, they're essentially a guide, right? They're not God, if you will. right? And for argument's sake, you could say to them a week before submission when they say, hey, listen, I think you should do X, Y, Z. And you go, that's not going to happen. I'm not doing that. I'd rather have my sleep.
Yeah.
What happens to that? Is that something you can do? Or do you feel that that's the power dynamic is of such a nature that you actually can't do that?
I think no. I think they're just trying to make your design as best as it could possibly be.
Okay.
And if you don't take on their feedback, you're risking not getting the best possible grade.
Okay.
At least in my opinion. Because I know my tutor, if he's telling me to change something, it's because he thinks that this change is going to make my design better. Whether or not I take it, that's up to you. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think obviously when it comes to a week before, a lot of the times if they do say something that's like completely outrageous, I'm like, look, I don't think this is realistic in the amount of time that I have given. What are some other options?
Okay.
Because then at least I'm like, I'm still improving and I'm still striving to get the best possible grade as I can get. But I'm also being a bit mindful that like, this is not doable.
You have an internal measure that's kicking in. That's basically
I think I do. Yeah. A lot of students just sit down and like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. But I'm a bit more like, I don't think that's possible. Like, what else can we do?
Okay.
What else do you think? And I think that's important to have that open dialogue because like, it's not healthy to be constantly risking and sacrificing your health for a grade.
This is funny because this is one of the things that you had posted about you track people sleeping and you'd ask them like, hey, how many hours have you slept? How many hours have you slept? And I remember commenting going like, dude, like this is some serious toxic culture. Can we change the narrative? Like, and I'm not criticizing you in any way. It is more about you were showcasing this is part of architecture school.
This is the reality. This is like what happens. Yeah.
But the problem, like for example, like in professional life, that shouldn't be happening, right?
Do you think it still happens?
I think it definitely happens. People are so used to being treated in a way that they're expected to work late. Yeah. They're expected to work weekends. And they're not maybe compensated for those times. I don't know specifics in SA, but I know that this culture exists. Yeah. And that, oh no, the client needs this. The client, i.e. the tutor or the professor, goes, no, we must have this information by X, Y, Z. And you will do everything you possibly can to make sure that you hit that deadline. Yeah. That's the problem is that now what happens is that, university, we've created this kind of culture and then it bleeds into professional life. And it shouldn't. You don't expect heart surgeons or attorneys or accountants to be like, hey, the client needs this. Are you going to do it? Yeah. I'll be like, no, I'm sorry. I need to rest. I need to recoup, whatever. So I'm at my best. Yeah. What I'm getting to is, do you see or do you feel that this culture is being generated and created as a way that is like, this is like a badge of honor? And will you struggle to translate that? If you had
I think, again, I don't know about in practice, but I think in architecture school, the biggest issue is that you can always do more. You can always do another render. You can. There's always something more that you can do. And it's like, when do you stop? Okay, I've done enough internal renders. Like when is it the like finish line? And at some point you have to call it quits, but sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'll do one more render. I'll do one more drawing. I'll do, maybe I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll have to do like another mind map to explain this better. It's like, there's always something extra that you could be doing. And it's like, you have to call it quits. You're also like, oh, but maybe I could have gotten a better grade if I did an extra render. Does that make sense? It's like,
I know it does makes total sense. You're now finishing your third year. You're finishing in July, I think you said.
Yes,
and so then, how does that work? Do you then go do practical internships?
So in the UK, the general system is 3 years bachelor's. Mm-hmm. And in the UK, you're called a Part 1 architectural assistant. Okay. Then you do a year in practice. Then you do your master's. And then once you complete your master's, you're officially a Part 2 architectural assistant. Okay. And then I think you do another year of practice. And then whilst you're doing that year, you can also apply to do the REBA, which is like your SACAP here in South Africa.
British Architects.
Yeah, to do the exam. And then you can become qualified. But honestly, a lot of people aren't going the full way because the price, like the salary increase from a Part 2 to a Part 3 architect is not that big of an increase. So a lot of people are staying at Part 2 nowadays.
When you say Part 2, so you're saying they're graduating, doing their masters.
They do their masters,
but they're not actually doing the
qualified
architects. They're not qualified architects. Yeah, that's quite common.
I don't know what it's like.
I think there's an expectation that once you've written your board exams, that you will now, because you're a qualified architect, you're registered as well, that you will now be able to you accrue a higher salary. But that's actually not the case.
Yeah.
For me, if my team has a higher, if they're registered or not, it makes no difference to us as a company.
Yeah.
So I can see that being the case. So most people are saying at part 2.
Yeah, because it's also expensive to do the exam. I don't know how much it was, but I remember someone somewhere, don't quote me on this, saying it was around like £2,000 just to do the exam. And it's like, at that point,
that's a lot of money.
That's like crazy money to do a stupid exam.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I don't know. I'm not qualified enough to know if an architect, being a fully qualified architect, is a lot better than being a part 2 architectural assistant. But it's not just something that you just like, I'm just going to take the exam. It's quite serious to like take that upon yourself.
I'm sure most of it is to do with if you have the wherewithal to design. If you're getting the ability to design in the firm that you're at. Yeah. And they're like, look, you can design. If you're a part 2, that's not a problem. Then I would imagine that most people won't need to upgrade. But if they're not getting that, then I would imagine that most people will be like, oh, actually, I actually do want to do the Reba.
Yeah, I think the only difference is like, if you want to create your own practice, then you'd have to, if you're not a qualified architect, then you'd have to hire someone to just sign the plans off. But I don't know how much of a hindrance that is, to be honest.
Yeah. And there's also kind of legal things attached to that, like having people sign. I wouldn't.
The boring stuff.
And tell me, how did you get into architecture?
Right. So back in the day, my parents built a house, but obviously they don't have any architectural or engineering history. So they obviously hired an architect. And I remember just like going with them to one of the meetings with an architect, and I like saw all the drawings and I was like, oh my God, so exciting. I was quite young at this point, so I didn't really understand what was going on. And then you kind of like just see this house being built. And I don't know, it was so fascinating to me, like being able to see it from like just a piece of drawing on a piece of paper to like an actual building that I'm now living in. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I want to do that. And then I also have quite a large artistic background. So I was like,
in what sense?
Like I've always been decent at art at school. I've always loved art and just the creative side of everything. So yeah.
Okay, so like drawing and painting and sculpting painting, and all these things. So
art's always been like my favorite subject at school. So it's kind of
because
leaning towards that.
But then why not just be an artist then?
Good question. Honestly, at one point I was like, Mom, I'm going to become a painter. And my mom looked at me. She's like, there's no way that I'm paying boarding school fees for you to become a painter. So then I was reconsidering my choices. And architecture just always kind of been at the back of my head.
Okay.
But
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think once like painting and art is a very good hobby, but sometimes when you make your hobby your career, it can ruin it a little bit for you. I feel like it becomes less enjoyable.
I would agree. So on that, do you still then paint as a hobby?
Honestly, I tried painting in second year for my like architecture degree. Like I was just doing some paintings and I enjoyed it so much, but time-wise, no.
It's not efficient.
Over the summer, I I sketch a lot now instead of paint. But
you did this recent trip to Berlin.
Yeah, and we sketched a lot there, which is great. And I am starting to sketch a lot, but painting, taking a bit of a backstand because of time. But I do want to get back into it for sure.
So this Berlin trip, what was that? Like?
Right. Okay. So my university.
I'm dying to know.
So my university every year does an architecture trip for the students. So first year, it's like the architecture trips get better the higher you are in the grade or whatever. So first year we went to London. Second year we did Amsterdam, and it's only like a few days, like 5 days. And then this year, the whole year has different briefs. Okay, so my brief that I chose, we got to go to Berlin, but some other briefs that other people chose, they went to I think we had Florence, other places.
Other places. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but we went to Berlin. So we went there for 5 days. We go there with our tutors. They basically give us a schedule and we go see these buildings with them. And these buildings are supposed to relate to our academic brief that we're doing that year.
So you did a theoretical component in your degree that kind of explained a concept. Give me an example of what a concept is.
So our brief this year is re-adaptation. So reuse and re-adaptation. So
you went to
we went to a lot of buildings that were old buildings and then they've been renovated and readapted.
They were absolutely wrecked. So you went to the Reichstag and you went to these other famous buildings.
So as precedent studies, I guess you could say. Okay. And obviously our tutors were like, you better be sketching and you better be getting all the notes down because we can't just fly to Berlin again. So yeah, it's actually quite good because it is covered by the university. That's just something that my university does. So, yeah, that was quite nice.
And
quite nice of them to treat us to treat us for a week.
And what was the kind of the main takeaway for you when you went? When you experienced this and you were like, oh wow, look at these amazing buildings. Because there's a difference when you see the building in a photograph or a drawing of it versus actually going to the building. Like, did you find that you had this like, oh,
yeah,
fuck, I'm getting it?
You get to, well, we have the Jewish Museum, which is like the perfect example. The way it's designed is that it's so uncomfortable to navigate through it.
You're talking about the Libeskind one in Berlin. You're talking about that one. Jewish Museum?
Yes.
Okay.
The Jewish Museum. Okay. Yeah, by him.
With the ramps and the crossing.
Yes.
And going underneath.
And you've got the voids in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind it is that it's supposed to be uncomfortable to navigate and it's not supposed to be easy. And it's like very disorientating because nothing is straight.
It's very disorientating.
Yeah. And I feel like you wouldn't be able to experience it. Like you wouldn't be able to experience the same feelings that you experience walking through a picture. Like, yeah, you can see, sure, there's lots of triangles. Sure, there's not like a straight corridor. Sure, it's like not very organized circulation, but you don't get to experience it. That's, I think, one of the main differences, just experiencing architecture, because architecture evokes emotion as well. It's not just about looking at something personally.
You're nailing a really, really important part of architecture, which is this idea that architecture is not drawings. It's not photographs. There is an inherent quality to it, which is embodied, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, for example, when you went to this building and you walked up that ramp and it was tilted at 4 degrees, I've been to this building a couple of times, so I know a fair understanding of it. And did you feel that discomfort? I mean, I don't know how open it was because
it was very discomforting. I honestly didn't like it because it's like it is a museum and you go to a museum to kind of learn about it, but it kind of feels like they're forcing their opinions on you because it's so overwhelming, so overstimulating. It's so discomforting. It's like kind of, this is how you're supposed to feel looking at this. But it's just like, this is a museum. You're supposed to make up your own opinions on what you learn from the museum. Personally. Personally.
I'm just going to put it like
everyone has their own opinions.
So, because the thing that's interesting about that building is that it does reference a lot about the disorientation that the Jewish people feel around the world, not necessarily having had a nation that was theirs. I mean, this is borderline politics that we're going into, so we need to be like a little bit. This is the only thing that we can't really go into. But the point is that you're absolutely right, because they are embodying.
They're imposing this feeling on you.
This is what you will feel if you're in this museum. Whereas a museum, the way you're describing it, is more of a blank canvas.
Yeah, I think it just depends like what your aim is. And if his aim was to, I guess, force this feeling on you, then it was very successful. But
which was the aim.
Yeah.
100%. That was the point of that building. Do you know how it was how they put it together? Like what was the...
No.
So this building has all these weird lines that's cut through it, right?
Yeah.
And what he apparently, if I remember correctly, is that there was the site plan, and he took these actual lines from across the world, I think it was, where there were sites where Jewish people were prosecuted or persecuted, and then he pulled that towards the building, and where they bifurcated, that's how he created.
Yeah, there's
that
a lot
design.
of thought behind it. It's very impressive. It's very impressive the amount of thought that went behind it.
In that building, do you remember spaces specifically that you felt really uncomfortable? And can you describe what they were?
Yeah, you'd be in one room, and then the corridor, like you go down this corridor, and then all of a sudden it's like over a 90-degree turn to the other side, and there's like...
Oh, you have to like come back almost.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was really... For me, I couldn't even pay attention to like the actual contents that were in the museum because I was just like so overstimulated. I was like, I need to get out of here right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the point.
I don't know. Some people experience architecture differently. For me, it was very overstimulating that I feel like I couldn't even learn anything that was.
Again, you're raising a really good point here. Is that the point of a museum is to translate information. And if you are in a state of discomfort, which is the point of the building, you are not in a position to absorb information.
Yeah.
And in fact, I mean, if you look at like most teaching environments, it's just, you want to be reasonably comfortable, not too comfortable that you fall asleep, but comfortable enough that you can absorb information. So that building is not performing that job very well.
Yeah.
But what it is doing very well is conveying this feeling of discomfort.
Yeah.
So in that space, so you mentioned this corridor where there's this zigzag return, which is super uncomfortable. One of the spaces that really kind of, if I remember distinctly, was this long, tall, thin space that had a little light at the top, a light well. Did you go into that?
Were those the voids?
The voids.
We didn't go into the voids. They were closed. I don't know why, but you could see them from like the...
Okay. And like
Yeah.
you said earlier, you can't see a space, you need to feel the space.
Yeah.
So basically,
So I wouldn't know.
yeah, exactly. Sorry.
Wouldn't know.
Okay. Tell me, so you're going to graduate next year and you are going to then apply and go work at a studio.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Scared.
What are you most afraid of?
It's just I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm just like applying and hoping I get something that I think I like, but I've never worked I've done internships, but I feel like those are never the same than like being responsible for a task. I feel like when you do student internships, you're not really responsible for much, or you know that like you don't have a lot of responsibility. So if you mess up, it's okay. But I think just the fact that people are going to depend on me, and I feel like I don't know a lot. I feel like architecture is such a complex, I mean, sure, maybe that's why it takes 7 years to become an architect, but it's such a complex profession that I feel like I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And that's scary.
I would agree. I think, but the irony is that I don't think that feeling ever goes away. Sadly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Sorry
scary.
to break it
You
to you.
never know when you're like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
No, you have a sense of, if I start a project, I have a sense of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to, you kind of pull on your history, right?
Yeah.
And you design. But the problem with that is that you are then just going to design the same building that you designed 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's a problem, right? So
And things are always changing, I feel like, in architecture.
exactly. And there's this idea of novel, right? For example, like if you designed a building for a new client, a building that you designed 2 years ago, they'd be like, but why are you giving me the same building? I'm paying you custom design prices.
Yeah.
I want a new building, something that the world hasn't seen before, or something that's specific to me, which means that there's always an element of learning, because you're not reusing stuff. I mean, you are within reason, but like you're not going to change the door threshold or the window threshold, but it's always new.
Yeah.
So that's why that feeling doesn't go away.
I didn't think of it that way, actually.
Yeah. It's a bit shit, actually.
And I feel like also going from when you're in architecture school, you have full autonomy or like full control over what you're designing for the most part.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden you're working in a team where you have, obviously as a part one architectural assistant, you don't have much authority on what you're doing. And that can be also a bit...
To be frank, like, absolutely.
It can be like, oh, damn, like I don't know. It's like a very big difference over having so much control versus now you're going into a big group of team. And realistically, I'm going to be like at the bottom hierarchy level, which is obviously where you have to start. But I think it's going to be a weird adjustment, but everyone has to go through it. So
no, absolutely. But you're raising a good point here, because now what you're basically doing is that universities are training people to be super individualistic.
Yeah.
They're the client and the contractor and the designer. They set the budget. All of this stuff. No budget. Exactly. All of that is what the student is doing.
Yeah.
And then they're putting into practice. That is completely not what it is.
Yeah.
It is the exact opposite of that experience. Yeah. So
I think it's going to be a big change.
And tell me, like, let's say, for example, in your group, how big is your student group? 40?
Like, you're talking like in our year or in our studio?
No, in your year.
Like over 100.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but in our studio, we kind of work in studios. We have like 20 people.
Okay.
20 odd, yeah.
Okay, so for argument's sake, in your group, your year, there's over 100. Let's say the number is, I don't know, let's make it 100.
I think like 150, I'd say.
150, okay. So do you have a connection with those 150?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Every year I come into a new studio and I know like 3 people in the studio, and you have to like make a whole new group of friends every year. Okay. No, I personally don't. But I know a lot of people are a lot more extroverted than me, so maybe they know more people, but personally I rock up to lectures and sometimes I'm like, who are these people? I've never seen you before. A lot of people also like fail and then come back, repeat. So every year it's like, I don't know who these people are, but it's always interesting. It's always fun.
The reason I'm asking is because in your group of people, how many do you feel are going to continue being an architect, are going to become the part 2 REBA, so maybe not REBA, but part 2?
I'd say most people are probably gonna go to a master's, but there is a good handful. I've heard a lot of people saying they want to just change to maybe, I don't know, urban design or like graphic design.
Okay.
Other people are like, I actually just want to work for a bit, and then if I want to continue my master's, do a master's. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of people, I think, most people I'd say would want to continue because like it's such a long degree. You kind of just want to get it over and done with.
Well, this is what I'm asking because it is 7 years.
Yeah.
You kind of, it's the 3, then the year.
Is that the same here in South Africa?
It's the same. Is it 7? No, it's 6.
Right.
It's 6 to do your master's. But if you take those years, like the sooner you start, because it's a sunk cost bias, right? So the longer you do something, the more you're like, oh, I should be doing it. But actually, you should just call it, because if it's not working for you, you should get the fuck out, right?
Yeah.
So this is why, like when you say like, oh, it's 7 years, you should probably, you want to quit as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But
people have different mindsets. Like a lot of people my age, I don't know, I'm a bit like, I want to get my education over and done with. A lot of people are like, I can come back when I'm older. Mature students are like quite common in the UK. I don't know if it is here.
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh yeah, we have like a good few people coming back when they're like older.
What is older now?
Okay, so like
late 20s?
Well, we do have people like in their 30s. Not a lot.
It's a super young.
I think like maybe like 1 or 2. Yeah, so young. Oh, I'm going to sound like such a bitch.
No, don't.
But like a good majority of our cohort did not come like straight after high school.
Do you think that's like a South African? I think it is a South African mindset.
Maybe.
Like
I don't know. My parents, like,
there.
For me, a gap year was never really an option. It was never talked about. It was never an option. A lot of people like changed their degrees.
Yeah.
Like they started with like biochem and then went into architecture. It's like such a big jump. For me, it's like I kind of like, I'm sticking to it. And want to get it over.
Even though there is this big gap between, what you wanted to do, which was art. Well, I'm not saying you wanted to do art, but did you find that even though it is a lot less than you thought it would be, it's more different than what you thought it would be?
Yeah.
You still feel like this is something I can do and I can
for sure.
kick ass.
Yeah, I think the skills you learn in architecture school are like, I don't know any other degree where we learn so much. We learn like, it's basically a mini geography degree, a mini like engineering degree, I feel like I'm learning so many different things and the knowledge that I'm learning is so broad and covers so many different disciplines that like, I want to take all that information in and you don't get that in a lot of other degrees, I feel like.
No, you're right.
Where like the knowledge and the skills that you're learning there's so much.
Absolutely, because the whole point of architecture, because you have to learn about air cons and structures and comfort and emotions and all these things all together feed into a building. Yeah. So it absolutely makes sense that you're like broad strokes are learning, And
like I'm busy learning like soil types and all of this crap that I thought I never need to know about. And it's like, here I am. What type of soil am I building on?
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's very different here in South Africa because my university tends to be, from what I've heard from other people at other university, my university is very like technical. So we have our technical like module and it's quite a big thing in our degree, whilst others, for example, we started tech in first year. A lot of other degrees only really do it in the last few years, like in second or third year. So I feel like my university is a lot more technical and less artsy than a lot of others. So I don't know what it's like in South Africa. It's like,
this is a good question or good thing you're raising is that the universities that you go will bias certain different aspects. So for example, when I was studying, I mean, I don't know if this is true, but the image of, for example, Tukkies, University of Pretoria, was that it was very technical.
Right.
And then Wits was more of a balance between the technical and the creative. And then UJ was extremely creative and like really pushing the boundaries of what it means to be an architect. Super ideas focused, very strong in concept. And the technical side was, at least from my remember, not as prominent.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the diplomatic way of saying that? Anyway, so and I think that holds true still.
Right.
And I think the big thing is also, this is why it's really important to pick the right school, because
100%. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, if you're not technically minded, but how would you know, right?
Yeah.
Schools don't advertise this.
They don't really, for us, they show you the modules that you're taking, but like, I don't know what architectural technology means.
Yeah, you have no idea what it means.
I have no idea. I'm like, woo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Get to use the laptop. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something that's quite interesting. I don't think a lot of universities also approach it that way. They kind of, they get a lecturer in and that lecturer kind of prescribes the course that they want to give. And sure, it has to be moderated, etc. But essentially, that's their job. Yeah. They're setting the course. And so I think it changes, So it's difficult for school to say, we are a balance or we're focused on the conceptual side, we're focused on the technical side, whatever that is. Okay, let's park that. I want to know about content creation. Talk to me about your journey into how you shifted from what you did initially. Because you were huge on TikTok. Let's be fair, right? I'm not on TikTok at all.
I think if you're in the architecture, like community,
Yeah.
then yes, I'd say I'm quite big in that community.
Because your TikTok, correct me if I'm wrong, is around 350,000. Am I right?
It's like 390 now. Yeah.
Okay, so 390,000.
Yeah.
Okay, and is that content very architectural or is it general?
Oh, no. You see, I enjoy making content creation, and sure, I could take it a bit more seriously and make it super focused on architecture. But for me, it's just kind of documenting my life. And my life, although it may seem like it's all architecture, there are bits that aren't. So I try to incorporate that as well. Because for me, it's just like a little blog for myself as well. Like I also do it because I enjoy it. I'm not doing it because I'm like, I see this as like my full-time job. I'm like, I enjoy showing my life and creating this community. And I am more than just a person who sits on her laptop and creates architecture drawings. Like I do other things in life. And yeah, for me personally, I like to show a bit of the outside parts of architecture, but in all honesty, my life pretty much does revolve around architecture. So it tends to be more architecture related than not.
But that's where the trending comes in, and like you kind of pull from a certain trend. I saw you kind of practicing a dance move.
Yeah.
You know, like, well done.
Yeah.
Trying to get that done.
Thanks.
Yeah. And tell me, I mean, this is something like...
Yeah, because I dance as well. And it's like, I want to do...
You're a dancer, right?
Yeah, I dance as well. So if it's like, if I want to do a dancing trend on TikTok, like, I'm going to do it because I enjoy it.
Then you post it as a story. You don't necessarily post it as a post.
Sometimes I post it as a story, but sometimes I do a little. I think that post on that dance.
So this is kind of fancy because I have like quite a, I don't know, structured approach to the
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think I
content
do
creation.
need to start.
I don't think so.
If I want to take content creation a bit more seriously, and like obviously right now I'm kind of just focusing on my studies, and like it's great to have this on the side, but I do want to make something out of it, make something more out of it. And obviously I need to put the work in to make that happen. And I think one of the steps is just like, I need to define what my account is for, because otherwise followers get a bit confused. They're like, I don't know why I'm following this girl. Am I following her because she does architecture? Am I following her because she dances or travels or whatever? You know what I mean? I feel like if I were to take it more seriously, I don't know. This is up to the viewers whether or not. But personally, I think I need to be a little bit more focused. That's a critique of myself.
I mean, you could say that, right?
Yeah.
You could say that you could become the hard, cold, defined, niche down,
tutorial.
yeah, exactly, super perfect. This is the person that.
Yeah, I know, but that's also not like
that's not you,
my
right?
account.
No. I mean, you spoke about how architecture. What you love about it is that it's this mile wide, super flat, 6 inches deep kind of degree that you learn a lot about a lot of different things, but not very deep.
Yeah.
You could almost argue that approach is what's appealing for you're doing the same type of your content.
Yeah. I think I don't know, because obviously I vlog my life as an architecture student, but that's just because that's what I'm doing right now. And that was kind of just a thing. I was just before I started architecture school, I was kind of just posting whatever I felt like posting. If there was a trend, I would do the trend. If I wanted to vlog my day, I just vlog my day. And obviously then it turned into architecture because that's was what I was doing. And obviously that got a lot of traction. And that's when I started really gaining a community, because I realized there's not a lot of people that like really show the authenticity behind
absolutely
what it is to actually be at university. Like just be a 20-year-old girl at university, international student, I'm alone.
Yeah.
I go through things, and there's nobody really does show that. As
talk to me about the crying. Okay.
Oh no.
So there's nothing wrong with being a crier. I cry too. There's nothing wrong with that.
I cry when I'm stressed.
Okay. And tell me, that's essentially an overwhelmed response, right? You're overwhelmed, I would imagine. And
I mean, I don't sit there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm crying right now. Let me film it.
That's what I want to know.
That wasn't the case at all.
These are good tears. Let's get a recording.
No. Listen, that's not the case at all. I was actually like just on a call with my mom, and then I just got so overwhelmed and I was like crying. And then I was like, okay, I need to start doing work. I need to vlog myself doing work. So I'm trying to like, hey guys, spend an evening with me as an architecture student. And then I just start bawling my eyes out, and the camera was there recording. And then obviously I'm like ranting to the camera about why I'm so upset. I was going to delete it, but then I was like, no, this is kind of funny. I was like, this is kind of funny. And I know I'm not the only one that like goes through this. So why not?
I think it was an amazing thing to do, because
I was a bit hesitant to post it. I was like, oh, well, people are going to think that I'm just like crying for views, which was not the case at all. I was trying to do work. I mean, you can see me like searching on my laptop. I'm like trying to open photos.
It's okay.
And I'm like trying to calm myself down. And it was just like not just tears.
But it was a very authentic moment. So it was cool. I think it was great. Admirable to post it. And I'm sure you did get some response, people like, oh, cry for views or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't look at that.
Okay. How do you manage negative comments? What is your...
I honestly don't get a lot, which I'm really, really grateful for. I feel like I have a really supportive community. But
that's amazing.
I feel like for me, I will post a video. Let's say I post a video today. For that day, I'll be checking the comments and responding to the comments. But after that, I'm posting another video the next day. I'm not going to be looking at the comments of a video from like a week ago, unless it like keeps on popping up. Then I'll be like, oh, let me check the comments on this video. But otherwise, I don't really go back and check comments, because if I was spending my day checking comments, I wouldn't get anything done.
No, absolutely. There's too much to do. Okay, I know we kind of said this is not going to be an interview, so I want you. Have you got any questions you want to ask me?
I do have questions.
Please.
So, what do you do here in South Africa? Do you have your own practice?
Yes, I have my own studio.
Freelance?
Yes, I have my own studio. It's called Black Sable. We specialize in designing lodges.
So the Black Sable is actually like a firm.
That's the studio's name.
Nice.
Yeah.
And when did you start it?
Started it in 2019. So the year before COVID. That first year was very tough. The main thing about the first year is to survive. So I did basically dog work for a lot of, I did like a house renovation, not a great project. I did a lot of other things that weren't really great. I did some graphic design, logo design, whatever I could do just to make ends meet while I was trying to build up the architectural side. Luckily landed an amazing project, Local Lodge, which is in Limpopo, which is exactly the kind of niche that I want to work in.
Right.
And when I started Black Sable, I kind of started 6 months before I quit. I'd worked for 6 months on my own, kind of doing the thing, getting the branding right, kind of figuring out what it's going to be, doing some courses on how to run a business, kind of upskilling all that. Because that's the thing.
Yeah, because what was that like? Because obviously you're an architect, you have that knowledge, but running a business is
that is a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Like, to give you an example, right? Have a conversation with me about how much you want to charge me for fees. Like
how much I want to charge you? I want to charge you.
I want you to design me a house, okay? The house is going to cost 10 million pounds.
10 million pounds?
I don't know.
10 million pounds?
See, even that number freaks you out. Okay, give me a few proposals.
But you know what 10 million pounds is?
Yeah, it's 200 million rand. It's fine.
What?
Yeah, there are houses like that.
200 million rand?
Houses absolutely cost 200 million rand.
Who can afford it in South Africa?
Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't really. Okay, let's make it easier. Let's make
10 million rand.
20 million rand. 20 million rand.
20 million rand.
So $1 million pounds. Okay?
Yeah.
Argument's sake. Okay, $1 million pounds. Give me a fee proposal. How much are you going to charge? You are going to be the architect first.
Right.
And you need to give me a fee proposal for that. Nowhere in your degree are you have no, and there's Reba will give you standard rates and fees, right? It will tell you this is how much you can charge in this amount. This is how much you can charge. But I don't know if
I have no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea. And the problem is that all these other business concepts, for example, lifetime value of a client. So you might, for example, say, I'm going to give you a reduced rate on the first project because you know that this client is worth 10 projects.
Right.
So then you go, I'm actually going to give you a better rate, but you have to negotiate the better rate. You have to say, I'm only giving you a better rate if we can guarantee that you'll do 10 projects with me. Because if you just say, I'll give you a discount, then they're going to be like, oh, cool. Bye.
Yeah.
So that business side is super critical. That's what all these books are about. Just reading the books to kind of upskill how to run a business.
It's also just like setting up a business as well. That's like completely different knowledge.
Absolutely. Another thing that but esoteric.
That's like business school.
It is business school.
Did you take a course for it?
No,
you just
YouTube.
Google.
Fucking YouTube. 6
how
months
to run
of
a
YouTube.
business.
Yeah, YouTube videos, how to run a business. That's actually what I did. Design. So the main one was The Future. I don't know if you know The Future on YouTube. Their whole slogan is helping designers with business without feeling weird. Something like that. That's kind of their slogan.
Right.
They want to help. And their big thing is teaching business to designers.
Right.
And so they teach concepts about like profit and loss statements, how to onboard a client, how to have difficult conversations with clients, all that kind of thing. So there was a lot of coaching that I got from that.
Yeah.
And then, so that's where the business kind of coaching came from.
Damn. That's not easy, hey?
It's a completely different animal, right?
No, it is.
You as an architecture student, or even working in a firm, most people who work in a firm, most principals don't have no idea how to run a business. Right? If you actually went to the nuts and bolts of a studio, as in SA, for example, those companies aren't worth anything. Right? Yeah. They do a lot of work, but they have no assets. They have, they've got their assets, which is their computers and that kind of shit, but they don't actually have assets. We have a building that we rent out, or we have I don't know, whatever other revenue streams you can have.
Yeah.
So those companies are actually not worth much, which is scary for a partner. Like if you imagine you're working in a company for 40 years, you've bought into this company and your shares of this company are worth basically nothing. That's like super shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And then, because you also do social media as well.
Yeah.
Has that helped you clientele-wise, like as a marketing strategy, or not really?
I think it's difficult to track exactly because most people find me through social. Most people find me through Google, and then they go to social and see like, oh, that's what this guy's about.
Well, I guess then the question is like, if you didn't have your Instagram, do you think it'd be as successful?
No.
Not at all, really.
No. And the main reason, I think, is because Black Sable ranks higher on Google searches because of the social.
Right.
And it's the same name, right? It links to Google, right? So we have this project we just got now that we've just did a bunch of work from in Indonesia that is purely through a Google search find. Person went to Google, typed, I need an architect in South Africa. We came up and then hired us. And that only happened because of first our website. It's also SEO optimized. So it's super important to have that done. But also the Instagram page is critical. And I have clients like go like my page like, you got a lot of followers.
Oh,
absolutely. And also they get a flavor of what it's like working with this person, right?
Yeah, and a bit of your personality shows instead of all pretty buildings on a website.
Yeah, it's not a portfolio. This is the problem with most people when they think of social is they think, oh, it's a portfolio. It's not a portfolio.
Yeah. Damn. So 2019. How big is the team
just 4 of us. So it's me and 3 other people.
Do you hire like freshly graduates or do you kind of like not? Because do you think freshly graduates, they have more of a chance in getting into like a big firm rather than a smaller firm? Because then you're smaller. So surely you'd want more qualified people. Or is that not the case?
That's a good question.
Because you're a small team, so you don't really have the time to be mentoring and teaching a freshly graduate.
The irony is that when you say graduate, do you mean finished master's or do you mean an intern who's finished 3rd year? So let's take you, for example, right? If you worked at Black Sable, the likelihood of us hiring you you would have to fulfill a certain level of, you don't even necessarily have skills.
Like on the CV, 0 years experience.
We've hired people with 0 years experience. 0 years is not the problem. Because if you imagine if every studio did that, then we would.
But I would imagine if I were to own a practice, if my practice is small, I'd be like, oh, I don't have the time to be teaching this freshly graduate versus like a bigger company, they have more people to kind of.
You're absolutely right. Now, the way to solve that problem is to record yourself teaching someone.
Right.
And then post it on YouTube, which is what's going to happen. In that way, you become, because also the issue is that most firms would kind of bemoan that the quality of student that they're getting is not what they want. Academics are not incentivized to serve profession. Yeah. And profession is not incentivizing academics to give them the kind of people that they want, the skills that they want.
Because I feel like
there's this massive disconnect.
Yeah. I've spoken to a lot of people that obviously are now doing their masters, but obviously they did their year out.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we had mentoring, like they provided us this course. And it's like, it sounds to me like this practice was like low-key teaching you, but they're also paying you. It's like, it seems like the universities are failing to make that transition because these big practices are providing Revit courses for their part ones. They're providing all these courses and it's just like, surely that's the university's job to be doing that.
It is on paper, but because universities are funded by the amount of papers that they publish, as an example, one of the ways, I'm not sure about all the intricacies of this, but they're not, profession doesn't pay universities to look after their needs, right?
Yeah.
We don't pay a bursary to students or to academics to make sure that they are teaching Revit courses or teaching whatever courses that they need to do. So it's difficult for me to complain that the person I'm getting out of university is not really hireable.
Yeah.
Instead, the thing to do is to create the content that would make them hireable.
Yeah.
Teach them all the things that I need them to know. And in that way, I'm making sure that the person that I'm hiring, I can go, look at all these videos, okay? Check all of them out. And then once you've gone through all of them, then we can hire you.
Right.
So that would be the thing. So for example, if you need stuff from me, you're just like, hey, I need this, like explain this to me, please. And then I could absolutely create content for that because that's exactly what I want to do.
Right.
For you and people like you.
Yeah.
You are right that most professions, big studios will hire graduates because they can also brainwash them into thinking the way they want them to think.
Right. Because personally, I want to work in a big practice, but a lot of everyone says, oh, work in a small practice because you get involved in so many things. I don't want that responsibility. As a part one architect, I want to sit and learn and sit there and observe. I do not want all that responsibility, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a gamble.
As a person who has worked mostly in small studios, it really depends on what kind of end career goal you want. To work in a big studio as your kind of dream job, where it's a 9 to 5 mostly, you kind of go home, you'll be working on bigger projects, your design input might be minimal or not as much as you'd like. These are the kinds of questions you'd ask. And then, or if you want to work in a small studio.
I feel like as a part one, I don't want to be a big asset. I'm so scared of fucking up. I feel like that I'm like, I'd rather, you want me to design a toilet, I'll do the toilet. But working in a small practice and having that much responsibility, I feel like I do not know enough to have that responsibility.
The counter to that argument would be, but where you're going to learn the most is in a small studio. And the reason why is because you're going to do essentially, instead of because it's a specialization. When you work in a big studio, you're going to do tiling layouts, right?
Yeah.
You're going to do 100 bathroom tiling layouts. So you're going to be super good at doing tiling layouts, right? You are going to be miss tiling layouts.
Yeah.
That's going to be your job title.
Yeah.
But if I ask you, okay, give me a roof plan, you'll have no idea what the hell to do.
Yeah.
And so what you really want is, again, mile wide, 6 inch deep, right? Kind of knowledge. You want to experience a whole bunch of different things, get average at most of them. And then when you go into masters and then finish that, and then you'll have a better idea of what the kind of work that you like doing.
Yeah.
Also where your strengths lie. You might actually be the best tiling layout architect in the world, right?
Stop.
We just don't know it,
Yeah.
That's also what, so you want a broad range of experience.
Yeah. I don't know. Everyone says like work for a small practice because of that reason, the experience, but it's scary being like,
but also you're not taking responsibility. You're not taking responsibility. You can also park that idea.
Yeah. I don't know. It's scary. I'm going into the real world. For example, like all of summer, I had 4 months of summer. I was out of the UK for 4 months.
Yeah, because you were in Guatemala, Mexico? Tell me about this trip. I want to know about this. What happened there?
There's this company called Cocoon Studio, and they host these like build design workshops, I guess, in different countries. And I attended one in Guatemala, so I was there for a month. You have to pay for it because
is it expensive?
Yeah. Okay. Personally, I don't think it's expensive because I do solo travel.
What is the number?
Between £1,000 and £2,000.
Okay.
But you're covered with everything, accommodation and food.
Whatever. People can make of that what they want.
Yeah. And personally, because I have solo traveled before, I know that if I were to travel for a month, I'd be spending a similar amount of money. So for me, it's like, it doesn't, yes, it's a large sum of money, sure. But you are traveling as well. Do you get what I mean? Like you're I don't know. When I announced it on my social media, a lot of people were like, "This is a lot of money," but I'm like, "But you're going to Guatemala, for God's sake. Do you expect to go to Guatemala for free?"
Because you have to pay your flights, for argument's sake.
You have to pay your flights, and then you pay that fee that they have. They do change it, I think, for like different countries and that. But yeah, so you get accommodation. It is basic accommodation, but it's accommodation. You get food, you get meals. Everything covered for you.
And you get to meet some cool people.
You get to meet new people. I learned so much on that trip. For example, like battens. I always draw battens for like the slate tiles or whatever. I've never seen battens in real life. And then there I am hammering my battens in and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like to actually
So you actually got first-hand experience because most architects never build, right?
No.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah. I did it first. Obviously, like I'm no construction guru at all, but they teach you. So they teach you how to use all the equipment.
And they got supervisors that manage that.
Yes.
And they use the right terminology, like dowels and battens and screws and nails.
So you learn. For me, it was very educational. I know some people, maybe if you're like a bit later on in your career, it becomes less informative. But for me, I just finished second year. It was so, like, I learned so much.
And how long were you there for?
I was there for a month. You can either do a month or 2 months. So the whole project is 2 months long. And then they usually have a group of people doing a month. And then if people stay on for 2 months, they stay on for 2 months. Then they have a new group of people doing the second month.
And tell me, you were there for a month?
I was there for the second month.
Second month. So you got to finish something.
Yeah. So when I got there, it was like half done.
Okay.
And then obviously the first day was like induction. So we just learned how to do the tools. They gave us like a bit of a exercise. They were like, oh, make a chair, basically. They gave us all the equipment and they was like, make a chair because like we spent the whole day learning how to use these equipments. Like do you actually know how to use it yourself?
So like a bandsaw, a table saw, circular saw.
All the stuff.
Okay.
all the
things.
all the stuff. It was actually really scary because like my parents never let me fiddle with that type of stuff, and now here I am.
In Guatemala.
Where
you can cut off your finger, your hand, seriously maim yourself.
Yeah.
And you're doing... Did you have really good insurance?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's why it's so expensive. It's the insurance.
Well, you have to pay your own insurance as well. But the insurance wasn't expensive. But yeah. No, it was a great experience. And I met so many like-minded people and I made some really good friends. And it's also good networking. Like
extremely good networking.
It's such good. Like a lot of these people were a bit ahead in their career than me. And that's like, it's good networking.
And I mean, obviously, in that process, you're making this thing. You built, you were building schools.
We built
jungle gyms.
So we built a playground for this school. So ours was a very like carpentry, I guess. It was like all wooden, but a lot of the other projects, like the one in Indonesia, they built, I think, a guest house. So you do get to build that type of stuff. Ours was just a playground, but yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And they just get a bunch of students.
Did you find that after having done this, that now, because you had to build this model, this a section of a roof, I thought it was, with the trusses at university now.
Yeah.
Did you find that having had this experience building something in Guatemala, that you now were like, I can do this.
Yeah.
This is so easy.
It just clicks a lot more because obviously you see it in like construction detail drawings, but seeing it in real life and actually like
putting the pattern there,
it on and
slamming your thumb with the hammer.
Yeah, it gives you a whole, I think, just a new perspective.
There's an embodiment that you...
Yeah.
Because you spoke earlier about also this idea that you don't experience architecture by looking at it, right?
Yeah.
You have to embody it. Now you've gone a step further. Now you made it.
With my blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah.
Absolutely.
When I first told people about this, they literally laughed at me because, like, I told my one friend, she was like, yeah, sure, you're going to go build. And I was like, no, I'm going to go build. Like, I'm going to have, like, a construction, whatever.
Did you wear high visibility gear and all
No, we actually didn't wear that, but we had the helmets, okay? We had the helmets, we had the gloves, we had the boots, the steel toe cap boots. Like, we were in it. And he literally laughs at me. He's like, you can't even, like, pick something heavy up. How are you going to do that? And I'm like, okay, sir, fine. But yeah, a lot of people laughed at me when I first told them I was going to do it, but it was a really good experience.
You hit a topic here that's a really big one.
The girl thing?
Yes.
Yeah, have you seen my comment section on one of my videos? It was like...
Of the Guatemala experience?
No, it was... I can't remember what I said, but it was like... I said something about me building, I'm going to be such a good wife because I'm going to build a house or something like that. And all the comments are like, yeah, build, sure, you can even like hammer anything in, and like all these like misogynistic men being like, she could never build anything for her life. And they're like, oh, is she an architect? Is she a builder? Like, do people forget that like women don't build? And it's like, she's an architect, and she really like, she's gonna pay people to build. She's like, loads of comments being like, architects don't build. They don't build. They can't build. They will never build. They just incapable of building. That's basically my entire like comment section. Because instead of saying design a house, I said build a house, which is like, and now
I actually remember that because you kind of had your you had a bag on, and you kind of like whatever that was.
Yeah,
there's a bit of nuance here because the comment was around architects don't build.
Yeah,
right. Which, and I agree. There's the trolls love talking about what architects can and can't do. Yeah. So I, for example, did the reel about what architects design, and they're like, oh no, structural engineers do that. You do not do that. And I was like, I drew this. The guy built it. The structural engineer signed it off, but that's what it was, right? Yeah. So, but I want to park that for now. I want to talk about being a woman in this profession.
Right.
Because this profession historically has been very male dominant. Yeah. If you look at all the big names, like we spoke about Daniel Libeskind, we spoke about the high side, which is Norman Foster. We spoke about all these other architects. Look at the history of look at all the.
It's all men. Yeah.
It's all men.
Yeah. I think it's changed quite a lot.
It has changed a lot, but the problem is that how does the profession, like, what is your, for example, your split in university? What is your split?
Honestly, I think there's more women.
Amazing.
Well, I will say the tutors tend to be more men.
Okay.
Like our tutors. But I think maybe because people are now seeing it as like artsy and men don't do art. I don't know. We have a lot of girls in our year. I think if it's not a 50-50 split, I'd say maybe slightly more women, but I think it's a very even split.
Okay, amazing. All right, Mikayla, I think we got one more couple of things to talk about. Do you have something you wanted to bring up?
Do you think it was worth it?
Study architecture.
Yeah. Do you think it was worth it to study architecture? Because I get that comment so many times.
That is a very good question. Okay, the main thing you need to discuss is what does the word worth mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're talking about money, then I would say there's probably better ways to make more money.
Yeah.
Okay. If you talk about self-actualization, like, do I feel control of myself? I can control my destiny. I can make decisions that make me really happy. I can fulfill myself.
So maybe then the better question is like, what makes an architecture degree worth it?
That is an even much better question. Love that. Okay. The first thing is, I would say, is do exactly what you're doing. This thing here is to not think of an architect being someone who designs buildings.
Right, yeah.
Think of an architect that can do many different things and incorporate it and mix and mash it the way you want to mix and mash it. If you're into fashion, do that. If you're into graphic design, do that and see how you can marry and bring them together. If you love cooking, become a specialist in designing kitchens. Or if you love drinking, as an example, do that with bars. Or like really start thinking about how you can niche down and specialize in the things where your passions lie.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about the bush, nature, trees, beautiful spaces. I'm not a good city designer.
Yeah.
I don't like designing, residential houses.
Yeah.
It's not my strength.
Yeah.
In the bush, I'm really good because all of those things are overlapping, and that's where my strengths lie.
Yeah.
Also, I find a huge amount of pleasure in drawing.
Right.
So if you can leverage whatever that is for you, if it's drawing or painting or model making or whatever creative pursuit that you can that you love doing, and you can incorporate that into your practice, into where you make buildings, I can do that because your buildings is going to get so good.
Yeah.
Like, just ridiculously good.
Yeah, because I get that comment so much. They're like, oh, is it even worth it at this point? Is architecture worth it? I get like a lot of people in high school, obviously, they follow me and they're like thinking of studying architecture and they kind of just follow me just to see what it's like. And they're like, oh, like I'm thinking of studying architecture. Can you tell me if it's worth it? And I don't like that question at all because do people think they're just going to get a degree and then their like dream life is just going to drop from the sky? I feel like it's your responsibility to make it worth it. And it's your responsibility to use the skills that you've learned and use it for something.
You raise a good point here because also the difference between what we do and what most architects do is that we put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
Right. So we are taking our destiny into our own hands by being content creators, by putting ourselves out there, being super focused on marketing. Yeah. Most architects don't do that.
Yeah.
So they're suffering from essentially the circumstance of their world that they've created.
Yeah.
They're victims essentially of that world where we're proactively trying to fix that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people just think they're going to get the degree, then they're going to get the job, and then
it's not gonna happen.
And then they're going to make money and they're going to live a happy life. And it's like, sure, if that's the life you want, then sure. But if you're not going to become the next Zaha Hadid just from getting a degree and then getting your job and then that's it. Like you have to work towards it. And I don't know, people. Is the degree worth it? Like that is up to you. Okay, that is.
But it's the same as life. But it's life, right?
Yeah.
Your life is as good as you make it.
Yeah, 100%.
No one can make your life amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So when people ask me, is the degree worth it? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna make it worth it because there's no way I'm going through all of this
for nothing.
I'm gonna, once you finish your degree, you still got to work your ass off. I mean, the whole of your 20s, I feel like going into your 30s, you're building your career. It doesn't just drop from the sky from a piece of paper. Anyways, there's just a question.
This is the thing that Denzel Washington said. He spoke about you learn, you earn, and you return. So the first phase of your life is you learning, then you earning, and then you give back. Right? And that's the thing is that your first part, 20s to early 30s, it's just learning. Yeah. And then you can okay, now I can start making a bit of money and kind of, be a bit more successful. Yeah. You've also made a name for yourself, et cetera, once a couple of awards maybe. Yeah. Tell me, we haven't really spoken about AI. We're going to...
At university, they've come to this thing where it's like, okay, sure, like you can use AI, but you have to declare that you've used AI and you have to basically put in your prompts. I'm talking about like ChatGPT and like the writing stuff. Oh, okay. Because with your references, if you use AI, then you basically put in, I declare I've used this AI, but I've put everything in my own words. And these are the following prompts that I've used. And you put that in.
Oh, wow. That's quite cool.
It's technically, you can use it, but obviously within...
because essentially using a reference. That's what it is. It's writing a reference. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
But I don't know what they do here because they've only recently introduced that like last year.
They have to, right?
Yeah.
This monster is here.
Yeah.
I say monster, but
yeah.
whatever it is. It's the tool. Or I think many people.
What do you think about AI as someone who like obviously you have your own practice? Because obviously this is very new.
It's very new. It's hard.
I don't think a lot of people know. I don't know anything about this image AI thing. Like once I was like, oh, let me put on like my brief into an AI thing, and it was like you have like 5 free chances. It gave me like the most ugly, automated. The house wasn't even like straight. It was like crooked. I'm just like, how are people using this at all?
Yeah.
Like, sure, it's good for like ideas maybe because they're like, oh, I like this canopy that they've done. But it's like you have real life precedents for that like you can get construction details for and you can reference.
This is the problem I have is that AI doesn't. It might change, but for the time being, AI doesn't understand that an image exists because there's a logic attached to it.
Yeah.
Beams look the way they do because they're holding up a roof.
Yeah.
They're not just an image.
Yeah.
And so because they have a purpose and there's a reason for them existing, they have a certain rigor to them, there's a certain rationale attached to them. And it's
also like you have to fit it in with the like surrounding context as well. Whilst these images are just created as like just soul building.
Exactly. There's a lot of work I suspect that needs to happen.
Yeah. Do you think it'll ever get to the point where it can
replace an architect? Yes, it can replace an architect. But
what?
No, it will go to. The question is not if it can replace an architect. The question is, can it replace a new style of? Can it be the next Zaha? I don't think so. It can't be a Zaha or a Norman Foster. It can copy Zaha and it can copy Norman Foster.
Yeah.
Those practices and those studios and what they've done, but it can't copy. It can't predict what they will be doing next because the whole point of AI is that it
uses
referential.
What's already
exactly.
done.
So it is by definition iterative. Which is what we don't want.
I don't think it can replace an architect.
It can if it can replace shitty architects, is what I mean.
Right.
So it can replace some architects.
I don't know. They need a lot of work behind it.
No, absolutely. It'll require an insane amount for it to work. Personally, I don't think it'll take a lot for it to reach that point, I suspect. But again, we also don't have the ability to imagine exponential growth.
Yeah, because I didn't know ChatGPT could exist, and now obviously it's like insane what it can do. So
exactly,
maybe I'm being a bit naive, but I feel like there's just I don't know, maybe.
Okay, so we're at the end.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to say thank you very much for taking the time. It's been absolutely great having you. Thank you very much. Brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. It's been great.
Thank you so much for listening to the Black Sable podcast. Everything we've mentioned will be in the show notes of this episode and on our website, blacksable.co.za. Feel free to connect with us on socials. We are at BlackSableZA, one word, on Instagram and on YouTube. If you like this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you can keep up with the hidden side of architecture. Until next time, I'm Jacobus, and this has been the Black Sable Podcast.